By the way, when you meet my wife, she's even smaller than Ellie. She's tiny.
Was Ellie small?
Well, it's not important to us, is it, Andy? Andy, it's not important.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Ellie was not. She's taller than me, isn't she?
Yeah, but you are small.
Yeah. So
And she didn't actually say, how small is he?
she did not say how small is he.
Do I lie?
Well,
I lie?
You might be winding me up now. What do you mean how small? Oh, here we go.
I think that ship's already sailed, mate.
Here we go. What's he? What's he? Oh, he's. Oh no!
Oh my God!
Right, well, this is just going to be embarrassing for everyone, isn't it?
No.
You're going to need to hold it nearer to the thing.
If she doesn't answer, it'd be even better.
You think she's going to be up at this time?
In our house.
Your call has been
It's not that she's not up. It's not that she's not up.
That's even worse then.
It's not that she's not up. She'll be up.
No.
The wife.
No one wants
to.
They've moved out, mate. They've had enough of you.
Hello, is Eleanor there?
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds just like Ellen.
Yeah, maybe it is. This is just embarrassing everyone now. This is totally unnecessary.
Hello, darling. You know when we got in the car after Cushy Grill?
Yeah.
I said to Andy, and Ash was talking to him, and I said that Eleanor said, how small is Andy? And he went, she never said that. I said, she did. And you said to me, don't say that.
Deny it if you want, because...
What was the truth, Ellie? Did you actually say that? Tell the truth.
No, I just said I was shocked at how small he was. I just said I didn't expect him to be taller, that's all.
Yeah. Thanks, love.
Right.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dad, for putting me in the... See you later, Maya.
That's the last time she will come to Cushy Grill.
It's the last time she'll be bloody invited.
So here it is. It's the podcast nobody asked for. Three guys in a kitchen, drinking coffee and having a chat.
Good morning, welcome everybody to the Tres Amigos podcast. So this morning we have four of us here today.
Four of us.
So there's the usual three, Sum and Kieran.
Our first ever returning guest.
A returning guest. So we thought that we would talk about football. Okay. And before everybody turns it off and thinks, oh no, not football, I'm hoping that we're not going to be going down the route of normal conversation about football.
Yeah.
I think what we'd like to do, and it was Kieran's suggestion that we talk about it, is just talk about our relationship with the game, with football, with our local team, etc. Rather than get into the technical details of the game and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yes, because the last thing the world needs is more football podcast. Because
Exactly.
it's just, football is talking about too much nowadays.
Yeah.
And it goes down into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Like expected goals and all that.
Yeah,
rubbish
yeah,
stats
yeah.
and all that.
Where did that come from?
Oh,
How does it-
I think a lot of these stats are things that like betters would have used.
Okay.
Or like they do say now that a lot of the coaches and a lot of the training is based on, they do get down into the fine stats of players. So they're not, when scouts go out to get players, they're not looking at like the guy who, you know, is running and scoring all the goals or the midfielder who's doing it. They actually drill down into the stats of that individual, and they might not even be that good a player when you see them
in person.
but the stats suggest that they will kind of the way they.
Okay. It's a kind of recognised and defined.
No, the
Numbers.
science behind it.
Yeah, there's science behind it.
But so I think our relationship with football and how we feel about it is probably something that we could get a good conversation at. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with my own kind of relationship with football over the years. Just a little bit background, if that's all right. Okay.
Did you play football?
No, never. I broke my foot or had an accident
was
at the age of 9, and I couldn't use it to kick a ball.
Okay.
So that's my excuse. I was probably shit at it anyway. But so 1966 was my first memory, really. And I don't know if you remember, but England won the World Cup in 1966.
They did.
And that's my first kind of memory of it, of football and what it meant to me. I mean, you know, and by the way, brown person supporting England.
What's wrong with that?
Well, because, these days they
Let's
say...
not get on that.
They
Let's
do
not
say-
go on that, please.
No, they do say these days that, if you're going to be British, you've got to support England. Well, I did.
No.
I supported England, so nothing wrong with that.
Different episodes.
However,
different
Let's not
episodes.
go there.
Yeah.
However, that's also because India doesn't play football.
Mm.
Had they played football,
India doesn't
But
even have
let me just
national...
throw a little
They do.
curveball.
They do have a national
They
team.
do, but it's not.
Let me throw a little curveball in. Go on.
Well, you can't. 'cause
Cricket.
It's football.
Yeah.
Cricket.
India.
Who do you
India.
support?
India.
Why do you support India?
Because in England, I support. In football, I support England.
Yeah.
In rugby, I support Ireland, and in cricket, I support India, and that's all my heritage is boxed off. And they're the better. Ireland. in rugby.
So now we get to the bottom of it. Now
Yeah.
it's the better teams out of the three.
Yeah, but I'm allowed. But I can justifiably pick.
Not really, but okay.
I can.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
If you can't say I'm English one day,
No.
and then Irish, and then Indian.
Yeah.
Right, and then
Well, hang on a second. Maybe at some point we'll get to talk about why Stewie supports Liverpool. Right. I mean, there may be an element of what we've just said.
Yes.
That. Right.
Yes.
The best team.
Yes.
Right. So,
No, it's nothing. Well, I was only 3.
yeah.
Didn't
This is
happen.
my best team. I'm going to be supporting
Yeah.
Liverpool,
Yeah.
Right. So you've
Captain
already
Bolton.
contradicted what you've already said.
No. That's
So-
a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Should-
There you go. Thank you.
It's a good point.
So
Don't wait for the
66 was the
nationality.
first time, and then later on, I don't think I ever went to any of games in those days, but early 70s for a little while, Highfield Road, in the terraces, in horrible, way to go and watch football, cramped in, hundreds of people, really, really close.
At least you're warm.
Nice for me. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was small and I could stand on the
Better atmosphere. Far better atmosphere than
No,
city.
I'm talking about in the days when they didn't have chairs,
Oh,
seats.
it was all
standing,
standing.
standing,
Yeah.
standing earlier. They were
Oh,
horrible.
I remember those. That
I
was
don't.
great.
No, I don't remember that.
Great.
Yeah, and I think so. That was kind of then I
Intimate.
kind of lost it for a bit. I didn't really support anybody much in terms of the local team. Local team.
Floater.
I think maybe the next time would have been sort of like late 80s. I mean, I didn't even support them when they came to the FA Cup in 87. In fact, I only remembered after half time that they were playing the final.
Right.
Okay, and I watched it. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And then I suppose then after that, it was really in the early 90s when Kieran came along, and we probably went to see some of the games in those days. So that was kind of the over the years.
season ticket holders. As well.
And season ticket holders for quite some time. And then we've had some really difficult years since then with playing outside of the town and all that kind of stuff. So I really didn't, but we'll get into more of the detail about that. And I guess that, what they're going through now is kind of unique for me. Over the years, supporting the team for so long and being disappointed in lots and lots of ways, this is kind of like a highlight, and it's great to see.
It was like mediocre Premier League team and then mediocre Championship team, and then downhill from there. Is basically what I remember.
Yeah. So what's your kind of relationship with football, Andy?
Me?
Yeah.
So when I was very young, so this is leading into, I think, because maybe a similar point to what you were just making. When I was
I'll stick off for myself.
being the Glory supporter, when I was very young, when I was very young, I used to support Man United. When I was very young, right, and but then I switched allegiance when I went to my first. No, when I was young, I was very little.
Let's not judge.
But
please.
my switching allegiance was actually probably a positive thing because I went to see my first ever game at Upton Park with my dad, who's a West Ham fan, and then that changed.
Is your dad from London? Then?
He's from West Ham, yeah. So, and he's always supported West Ham, and so when I went to see them, that's when I decided to support West Ham because I used to love football and I still do love football. I think supporting Man United was because they were the best team, and I think that was just sort of when you're little, you just go for that's what you're going to go for, and then being at Upton Park, experiencing that, and it was kind of like it brought me closer to my dad in a way. So it was kind of a reflection of that. So I switched. I've lost interest in football over the years.
Don't blame you.
I think it became. I can remember the teams, when I was younger, it would be 1 or 2 players each season would change, and then they'd go to another club for a few years. And I just feel like every team changes so much now. Managers change so frequently. It's hard you kind of got to be really invested in football to keep up with it. And I just don't have the energy to do that. And I think that's a shame, because I love watching a game of football. I just don't really care who plays for who, where they might be moving to. I'd rather just watch football. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Kieran, what's your relationship with football?
I think the earliest memories are going to Highfield Road. My Saturdays used to consist of being taken to football training in the morning. When I say football training, it was this guy, and he just used to have a football day at Warwick University in the mornings. You just used to go and have a kickabout. He'd do like some training exercise with you, and then you play football. And sometimes I'd do summer camps there as well. And then I'd come home, have lunch, and then we'd go off to the football. And it was good. It was good bonding for me and Dad. It was nice to go. You used to park up, pop into the shops, grab a chocolate bar, and walk to Highfield Road. And that's going now, because all these football stadiums are built on whatever brown sites or whatever. So you can't. That was nice because you'd walk through the terraces. I mean, people always talk about that being the. I don't know if it's Anfield still in that. Yeah. So you get that a little bit. I think Arsenal, even though they've moved to the Emirates, you still get a bit of that, because I remember we went to Arsenal FA Cup game, Coventry versus Arsenal. We got spanked 4-0 or something like that. And I remember we just walked through terraces, and then you turn a corner and all of a sudden Emirates is there. But I think there's less of that nowadays. But all of that was quite nice, and it was good. I mean, there were days when I just hated it, because I was like, oh, football in the morning, football in the evening, don't want to do this. But there were some good moments. It was nice being in the crowd. I think you get to go alongside people that you wouldn't normally see in your normal day to life, because the only common thing is that you're a Coventry fan, right? So you just go, and there's other Coventry fans there, and that's the only thing that's kind of putting you together. There used to be some right people in the West End terrace, is where we used to sit, right next to the away fans. So yeah, I like it. I think growing up with it was good to do it with Dad. It was a good excuse, because Dad used to work all the time as well in the week. Yeah. So I was with my mum a lot of the time, but then it was good on Saturdays, because then Dad would take me.
Was it just the 2 of you then?
Most of the time. Aidan wasn't ever that interested. No. I don't know why, really. He used to come to the football train.
Well, he was still young, really, because he came 5 years after you. So
yeah,
when you started going, which would be around 4 or 5 years old onwards.
Yeah.
He was still a baby. So
yeah, he used to come every now and again, and Mum would come on the rare occasion, although she wasn't fussed at all.
No,
because then we'd say, "Oh, Mum, well, at least you can come for the men," and she was like, "Yeah, but I prefer rugby lads anyway." so she didn't want. She wasn't that fussed at all. But that was her Irish in her, wasn't it? Because her dad was a big rugby,
and all her sisters are rugby.
Yeah, that side of the family's just mostly rugby.
Stewie, what's your relationship with the game?
Well, I've played football since I was probably 6 or 7, all the way up to my late 20s, 30s. So I played in the Coventry Alliance Leagues. I've been and watched, football games, semi-pro, Liverpool. And I'm a bit like you at the minute, and I'm a little bit, it's not a sport anymore.
I think all that data and stuff has made it.
No, I think the money's ruined it. Football, I coach football. I coached it for seven years. When my son wanted to play football from 9 to 16, I coached. We had a really successful team. And it was like you said about your dad. It was me and my son. Saturday mornings, we'd do the coaching. Sunday, we'd play the game. And it was great. Going to watch a game, when I listen to you about Coventry, I love Coventry. I've been a Liverpool fan all my life. I was born in 1969. I don't know why I got into Liverpool, because my dad's a mad Man United fan, and Liverpool and Man United do not get on, right? But and my dad used to always buy me the Liverpool kit. So I don't know why that's come about.
I had a soft spot for Liverpool.
But I've always been Liverpool. I used to go every game, because one of my mates is from Formby. His brothers are blue, Jim's are red. So we used to go every game, and I used to love it. But then I fell out of love with that, because it was costing 120 quid. Tickets was like 40 quid. You paid £10 to park your car, the fuel, then something to eat and stuff like that. And then you're out the house all day.
Yeah.
So I've always been into football. I like it, but at the moment I'm a bit like And. I think money's killing it.
I was just thinking about what does it mean to go and watch a game live and being in amongst a crowd of people, which I think is still one of the attractions for that kind of, what's that experience that you have?
Emotion.
Common experience of being in a situation where you're all kind of watching the same thing. And I mean, I loved going to the live games, you know. I mean, I probably spent a lot of time just, kind of looking at what people were doing and stuff, you know.
Probably spent most of the time talking to people. But
it was a Coventry match. I mean, that was probably the only.
There were times. But in fairness, when my dad came out of hospital, because he's always followed local football, I took him to Convy, Leicester. I'm talking 14 years ago, probably a bit longer.
In the Championship, or maybe even lower down. Possibly.
No, it was in the Championship.
Yeah,
shocking. Absolutely horrific football. Something you'd see semi-pro play. It was just kick and rush.
Mm-hmm.
But they moved on.
But again, getting away from the actual, playing of the game itself. But that common experience of being in a crowd of people, all arriving and supporting the team and all that kind of stuff, it's a great experience.
And as Kieran was saying about the memories he's got of walking to the stadium. And, I used to, obviously couldn't go to Upton Park every weekend. So we did used to go to Highfield Road fairly regularly. It's a memory of everybody walking down the road. The roads are closed and everybody, and I wasn't even a Cov fan, but you definitely do get something out of that shared experience.
But it's something that we don't do often these days anymore. Maybe go to concerts and things like that. Maybe that's a common kind of experience but football is still one of those things, right? But with social media and stuff like that, where people feel that they are kind of detached from life, reality, whatever, they still go to football games. Mind you, they're on the phone a lot, even at football games, right? Aren't they?
Yeah, but the signal's not as good in the stadium, so you can. I only use it to check the scores at half time, and then that's it. They have to put it away. I think you're more into the game as well. I think when you watch it on TV, you can get distracted.
Yeah, that's like going to the cinema to watch a film is a different experience to sitting at home. Where you can get your phone out. Or
I think you can pay more attention, or or you can be having a conversation next to someone, but still have your eye on the match.
So I would never go to the pub to watch a game of football. Never.
No.
To me, that just
is that because the drink spills over it?
Yeah, it's all that. It's the smell, isn't it? No, seriously, it's because I like to watch the football game. Yeah. So if I'm sitting in a stadium, I could think, bloody hell, come on, mate, and the guy next to me or the woman next to me, we're in the same environment. But when you're in a pub, there's hustle and bustle, there's noises going on.
Right.
No. I find it
you can't concentrate.
Yeah, too much distraction.
You like to concentrate. But you're a technical person as well. You like to... I can't... people can say to me, oh, you should have done that, or you should have... I can't analyse things like that. I just watch the game for what it is.
Yeah, but I think if I've coached football, right?
Yes.
And I think you've got to be really into your football to coach 7, 8-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Because all they want to do is play football.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong in that.
No.
But you have to bring structure.
Listen to you.
Yeah. You've got to bring structure.
Yeah.
And you do all loads of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you get that ingrained in you. And I think you don't get that on a TV because you don't see the whole game.
Yeah.
The best lesson I got told was when David Beckham, so when Cobb was in...
Who's it?
So when Cobb played Man United, I was told by a coach to pick a player and watch him. And I watched David Beckham for 10 minutes. It was amazing just to watch him, how they run off the ball and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And you can't get that from a TV.
No. But having said that, my problem is that I can't stand disappointment anymore.
He's said this before.
No, I can't. And
That's easy for you to say.
Well, because Liverpool had most disappointment.
I think
3 years ago.
It occurred to me a couple of seasons ago when we went to watch the game, and it was a weekday game. It was cold. And
Did you not have Bovril?
we played rubbish and we lost.
Oh, I love my
right?
Bovril.
And I just thought, I don't need this.
Yeah.
Life is already shit. right? In lots and lots of ways. And I want something that uplifts me. I don't want disappointment. Now, I can stand disappointment if I watch it on TV to some degree, right? But to go through all the effort of paying for the game, going to the game, sitting in cars like that, and then getting a loss, that's disappointment I can't stand, right?
See, I do understand to a degree, but at the same time, I've never understood why, when a team's losing and, it's like they pay good money to go and watch this game, and then they might be losing 2-0, and in 75 minutes, they're flooding out of the ground. And I'm like,
Oh, we never do that.
I don't understand why people do that. It's
So they've
like,
never left
just because you're going to lose doesn't mean you should not watch.
It's interesting. They were on about this on Talk Sport this week about people leaving and all this type of stuff. And it comes back to what Ash was just alluding to. The expectations are so high without any real substance. There's only one team can win the Premier League, right? And something like your team's going to lose. For me, obviously I like Liverpool to win, but I like them to try. I like effort. The reason I started going to Liverpool was I was paying all this money, and I sat there one day and thought, these ain't even trying. In my opinion, they weren't trying.
No, I agree. I think I like to be entertained.
Yes.
And I hate it when people say, well, in the end, they won. No, I want the ups and downs of what happens through the game.
Yeah.
I want to be lifted and I want to be disappointed through the game.
Yeah.
I don't just want to get to the end and say, well, okay, they won, but it was a shitty, played horrible. Because that's part of your...
Yeah, I agree.
your kind of adrenaline or whatever it is. I don't understand the science of it all. But the ups and downs of going through that in the game is the thing that's exciting, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And not the end of the game.
There's a difference between going to a few games and being disappointed, right, and then rolling on to the next one, and what we have to deal with as Coventry City fans, where you get relegated, you then get moved to a brand new stadium that no one necessarily wanted. And the whole reason for that stadium was, right, we're getting back into the Premier League next year. We've got a nice 32,000-seater stadium. This is going to be... And then it just went from worse to worse. I mean, I don't think... We had 10 years, I think, in the Championship where it was just like... And we were season ticket holders.
Yeah.
Used to go every year, new manager every year, pretty much. There were the rotation managers, the Ian Dowies and, all of that.
Yeah.
Your Ian Dowies and your thingies and all of that. And then we got relegated again. Then we didn't have enough money for our stadium. Then we had to go play at Northampton. Then we had to go play at Birmingham. I mean, it's like humiliation.
But that's just down to bad financial management, isn't it? Nothing more. So you go to Highfield Road, old-fashioned ground, you walk through the lanes, like you said, hot dog vans, stuff like proper grounds. You go to Forest, proper grounds, working men's environment, Anfield, exactly the same. These old
In a
grounds.
city.
Yeah, these grounds, right? And then they sell Highfield Road for millions of pounds to go to where they are here. And I remember the lads, my mates still go, I still remember the guys that go today who wear the tea cozy hats, right?
Yeah.
They've been going since I was 14, 15 years of age, right? And they're iconic for Cov fans, right? Because they've always been there. But when they moved from Highfield Road to where they are now, and then they went down, 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 I don't understand. I don't preach to know the history of it. So that's just bad management, isn't it?
And I don't think I don't think we ever stopped becoming fans entirely. But I think there was a point where we just thought, you know what, this isn't what we want to do with our weekends, kind of thing. Because people will have a go at you and say, you've kind of jumped ship a little bit, but it's
That's a
football's football to a certain extent. Like
you're not passionate, in my opinion. And I'll be confrontational to a point. You're Cov fans, but you're not Cov fans. And I say that because my mates, when I was going with them, I went to the FA Cup final, right? When Cov beat Spurs. Because my mates are all Cov fans. And they'd been, since they were 12, they used to go to every home game. When they got older, they went home and away, still now. So when I caught up with them, I said, and go. So
I respect people who have that kind
they are die hard.
But hang on a minute.
And they went to Northampton, they went to Birmingham to support. So they're proper fans.
I understand that. And okay,
I did go to a Northampton game.
You can't, it is about what it means to you.
Yeah.
right? And you can only put up with disappointment for so long. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I think-
Because it's
yeah,
about our own feelings about it. It's not.
And also for some people, that game is not just a game. For them, they'll probably go to the pub beforehand, meet all their mates, have a social.
Absolutely.
We didn't really do that. It was a Saturday and the game was on, and we'd get there maybe at 2:00, an hour before. That was only because Pete made us go that early.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have gone that early.
But then our mates go meet at 12:00.
Yeah, and we'll even go, and that was fine for us. That wasn't saying that we didn't want the same experience as the other people, but for some people that was their weekend,
It is,
right?
yeah,
And for
absolutely,
us, it
yeah.
was like we want to go because we support Coventry City. We were passionate about supporting them, but actually, should our weekends be full of disappointment?
And especially when you've moved stadium, it's a huge investment of your time
down
to
to
now have to go to Northampton or even Birmingham.
And actually, so just on that, I mean, when we did go off to Northampton, we kind of just, I don't think we gave up our season tickets then, and we didn't go anymore. Instead, what we did was we started going to watch Coventry United
yeah.
down at the Butt Stadium.
Yeah.
Right. And that was quite a different experience compared to what we were used to.
It was fun.
It was fun. I mean, it was a
I go
smaller,
sometimes Bellevue United play.
a smaller crowd, maybe 250 to 400 at the very most.
Yeah, you could have a go at the manager on the other team.
Yeah. And they'll all be in front of you down there.
There was some fight. We went to one game versus, who was it? Bromsgrove.
Oh yeah, Bromsgrove. Yeah.
Yeah, Bromsgrove.
Fight.
Yeah.
There was a fight, big fight.
Yeah. But we liked it because it was cheap. It was like £5 or something, or quid for the youngsters. And, you were really, really close to the pitch. You could see and hear everything that's going on. And it wasn't bad quality football. We had one or two ex-Coventry players come and play there as well.
Yeah.
And so we did that for a couple of seasons, actually.
And even my friends who were Coventry City fans I'd say, come and watch a game or two, and they'd come down and watch a game, and they really enjoyed it.
I think if you're football fans, they'll find a game to go and watch.
Yeah.
So if Coventry away, they'll go and watch Coventry United or something like that.
But that had its limitations, because the problem with that level of football is there's no structure to it. So players would leave halfway through the season because they'd find a better, if they were any good, some kind of national league or professional league would pick them up. So you wouldn't have any, they always kept talking about having this vision of trying to move up in the leagues.
Yeah.
The leagues kept changing every season.
Yeah.
One day you're in one league, one day, but it wasn't because you got promoted. It's just that you went.
There's more teams in the north than there is in the south.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
There was all sorts of.
They
stuff.
also do it for cost as well, because these clubs are running on a shoestring.
Well,
Yeah.
And when some of the chairmen, I know a couple of chairmen, and they're just throwing the money away. They're never going to get the £500,000 they threw into that. They're never
They
going to
won't
get
get it back
unless they find a diamond and they have a player they can move on.
Yeah.
And it does happen.
Yeah.
And that's when they make some money.
So to come kind of more up to date a little bit, I mean, in the last few years, 3-4 years or whatever, I've become more closer to Coventry City because they've actually had some success with Mark Robbins and stuff. And, the football was really good to watch and stuff. So that's good in a sense. But the problem with that is that your expectations go up.
Start to increase again.
And I think it was a couple of seasons ago. I think your mum was in the nursing home down the road, and I think we were watching one of the playoffs or something like that.
At the stadium or
No, here I watched it here at home, and it got to penalties. It was,
And you couldn't hack it.
I couldn't. No, seriously, I couldn't hack it. I just couldn't. I couldn't take it. In the end, I decided that I wasn't going to watch the penalties. I went out into the garden, as far away at the bottom of the garden as I could possibly get, right? And I thought, I don't want to listen to this. I don't want to watch this. And I just sat out there and just listened at. And the only thing that I could think of was that if we actually did win, then I'm going to hear people shouting from around the houses.
Was it the final? Was it?
Yeah, I can't remember. It was fine.
Yeah.
And I thought that's the only way I'm going to know if we've done all right. And it didn't come.
Yeah.
I was so depressed.
Yeah, I was at Wembley Stadium when that happened. Yeah,
I'm smirking because it's such a shame that people have that high expectation, and then they have the euphoria, but then it's the fall from all that.
Yes, but for me at that time, it was about what else was going on in our lives,
And that's the point.
And I think what I wanted was something to lift me,
Yeah.
right, out of what was going on, and it didn't do it, and it just sent me further down, and it was horrible. But then the following year, I think we beat Man United, or we nearly beat Man United.
Should have
remember
The ever so slightly offside.
It wasn't offside.
That wasn't offside.
But the football with all that money can't let that be a Coventry Man City final. It has to be a Manchester derby.
I've heard that.
Oh, you believing that it's a conspiracy?
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just think the money talks. All right, that's all I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Says you.
I'm a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, we know.
We're not going there today. There's loads out there, by the way.
So last year we lost our manager. We got Frank Lampard, which is amazing.
He's doing a great job.
And what do you think? I mean, what's your experience
I'm
of the last
bit disappointed with the appointment to start with because we lost Mark Robbins when we were on a high from the season before.
It was a strange decision to make, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he'd fallen out with the chairman, and there was something about his second in command that the chairman wanted the guy in second in command to stay on. Mark Robbins, I think, had fallen out.
and the results did fall off a bit.
They did drop, but it's Mark Robbins. He definitely would have turned it around, I think, if he'd have stayed. But maybe it was something to do with his second in command that kind of meant that they would drop him. Then they appointed Frank Lampard, and I thought, here we go. It's going to be a Wayne Rooney at Plymouth situation.
Yeah, it's just a name.
Yeah. But actually, his record wasn't that bad. You know, he had a bad stint at Chelsea when they were in the midst of spending loads of money and going through managers like it was nobody's.
Well, he couldn't buy any players when he was at Chelsea.
Yeah, it wasn't allowed.
He wasn't allowed.
Yeah,
and people say he's found his level, but if his level is top of the Championship, then I'm sure he'll do all right in the Premier.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to a point now where we've had a solid team for a good few years.
I think the gap between the Premiership and the Championship is massive.
Yeah. If we go up, it's. I think the only way to avoid that now, money talks again, is to do what Nottingham Forest did, because they were the last team who actually stayed up when they got promoted.
Yeah.
You have to break financial fair play rules, spend lots of money to get the players that you need, or the facilities that you need, or the manager that you need, and then hope that offsets your point deduction when they pull you up for financial.
But if you come back to what your dad's saying, let's just focus on what your dad's saying about the ups and downs of football. Look at Forest as an example. Right? This is how fickle football is. This is why we agree with what you were saying, and about falling out of football. Why would you change a manager that got you in to Europe just because he's got an opinion? Yeah? So we don't know what went on. But for the fans, they're already calling for the manager's head after how many games?
Who, Ange?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
I mean, West Ham got rid of David Moyes within 12 months of winning their first trophy in...
But you drill that down into the fans and how it makes the fans feel.
Yeah.
And this is where I detract myself from it, because I smirked at your disappointment, say, for Cov. I don't relate to it because, as you quite say, Liverpool are very successful. But we went through a lot of barren years where we weren't successful, okay? I never fell out in love with watching football. I fell out in love with what football is. Yeah? I fell out in love with it's money, money, money. Players kissing the badge and then next season they're gone because they've got another 10 grand a week. Yeah? For me, it's the disconnect from the fans. So I talked to Leicester City fans before their chairman sadly passed away in that helicopter crash, which was horrific.
Yeah.
The Leicester fans loved him because he would do things. You know, they'd go to a game and they'd all have a beer or a soft drink. They'd have a scarf on the back of their seats. You know, he loved the emotion that the fans created during the match. And like we said, Leicester atmosphere was amazing during that period. And that comes back to what you were saying about being in the crowd and feeling that it's tribal, isn't it?
It is tribal, and actually, you know, it is about how it makes us feel. Yeah. And if you're supporting the team in the town that you live,
Yeah.
there is a difference.
Yeah.
There is.
I'm gonna.
Hang on.
There is a, you know, when things are successful, when things are happening, you know, there is a lift
In the town.
In the town,
Yeah.
there's a feeling of, you know, kind of
Euphoria.
going on, and also a down when things don't happen great. You know, I mean, you know, in the gym, you know, when we won a game the night before, or the way things are going at the moment, there's a lot of buzz going round, you know. I mean, I haven't seen so many Coventry City tattoos on people. I mean,
now we're regretting 30 years time.
these people, it's not like putting your girlfriend's what's it on your, you know,
Yeah.
tattoo. It's like Coventry City. I mean, what happens if you do suddenly decide
Well,
to do it?
an elephant's supposed to be good luck, isn't it? Isn't it got some...
I can't remember, but elephants apparently can.
Oh, right. Okay.
Wow.
So
That needs editing out.
yeah. So there is that kind of thing about supporting the.
What I was going to say about that is that although I'm not a Coventry City fan, I would always want Coventry to do well.
Yeah.
Because it is my home
Yeah.
town. And, you know, as much as I don't necessarily like Coventry as a city, it is nice
Well, you
when...
want the mood lifted.
Yeah, of course. And I
don't you?
walked through town a couple of weekends ago and Coventry had won. It was one of the early kickoffs and everyone was back at 3:00 in the afternoon. And there was a buzz to the city centre, which is nice.
Well, in the days that we used to go to the Rico, I mean, you know, you were talking about between 15 and 17,000. You're getting regularly over 30,000 now. That's incredible.
But, and it's also a reflection of how the city's doing. So we had the City of Culture, the regeneration of the centre of town, and that comes hand in hand with all of a sudden the Rico Arena being renamed the Coventry Building Society Arena. That all of a sudden seems to be a bit of more of a boost at that.
Yeah.
We then start ending up own our stadium. If you think about all the old industrial towns, those places don't really have good football teams or high performing football teams anymore.
Yeah.
You would so there's the Sheffields never do well. And all those northern teams, Preston,
Leeds.
Blackburn, Leeds, Leeds do well because they've become a metropolitan city. Same with Liverpool, same with Manchester, and all the London teams. They're the ones that do well because the areas as they are.
There's a slight slant on that, though. Again, this was debated this week.
Yeah.
Coventry City is Coventry City.
Yeah.
You're not going to get hundreds of thousands of fans around the world supporting Coventry City. However, when Leicester won the Premiership, that year I went to Sorrento. And I went with two or three other couples, big Leicester fans. And one of the guys had a Leicester City shirt on. And we went to a pizzeria and the owner came over to the table and said, your meal's free if I can have that shirt.
Yeah, but Leicester's a rejuvenated city as well.
And that was because of Ranieri.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, the Ranieri. But the point they make on this podcast is that to be successful now, you have to have a global brand. Right? And Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, Man City are generating that much money that fair play is never going to hurt them. Because they're making 800-900.
Or if they do, they can pay lawyers to throw at them.
Well,
Man
yeah,
City.
that's a different debate, isn't it? But it's that money thing in Cov with the best one in the world.
Well, hang on.
If they come to the Premiership, it's a massive step.
So this last season, Coventry City generated the most income of any Championship club. I'll tell you the figure.
Yeah.
It was 8 million was our profit. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's good. That's good. If you consider from where we've been to where we are now.
I'm not
that's
disagreeing with that.
And the other thing I would say is we are, for good or for worse, we're thinking like a Premier League team. We now own our stadium, which has a casino, which will generate income for us. We've got concerts happening.
Yeah.
So you've got the Ed Sheeran gig coming up.
Take that's coming there.
Take that.
Yeah.
So, you know, this and that might be where, and that seems to be where football's going. Like West Ham London Stadium, I went to a gig there and
Spurs are doing it on their boxing and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you have to think like that. And maybe that's how you have to think as a club. How do you generate income outside
this is
of the
exactly
game?
what they're saying. This is
As a brand.
I just want to bring it back again a little bit on the importance of football to men.
Okay.
Because I think, as we suggested earlier on, you know, when you have a game, you know, for some people it's a whole day. It's about, engaging with their friends and family to go and watch the game. It's a shared experience that they all have. For some people, that is the highlight of their lives, of their weeks, because they're so much invested in football as a game, as an interest. You know, they're on their phones all the time looking at kind of results and in news and all this kind of stuff. For some people, that is their lives. I mean, it is incredible how intense football becomes for people. And so, it's good to see, certainly in Coventry, that there's a huge kind of growth in the amount of people that are interested. Unfortunately, it's still a costly thing. People have to pay.
What is it now?
35 quid-ish.
Oh, season tickets about 400 quid, I think.
Yeah,
for coffee.
so just you used to be able to have walk-up games, didn't you? Walk-up teams.
And there's big issues now, because the big games at the Cov Building Society are 45 quid now.
Are they?
The away fans are paying 45.
So is that sort of like if you're playing against?
So Birmingham City and West Brom so far, they've been charged 45 quid a game, and that's not gone down well. And I agree. Like, it's good for us because we can get away with doing it. But I think that's
and I think, unfortunately, these fans that your dad's referring to, the ones that live and breathe it, will find a way of paying for it.
Yes.
The problem is with that is that they've got to get used to it, because when they get in the Premiership, it ain't going to be 35 quid.
Yeah.
Because you want better players. They demand more money. That's the problem.
Well, having said that about live games and stuff, one of the great things, and again, that's still costly, but it's not as costly as going to the game, is that we're getting more and more games on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
215.
Yeah, and for
games
me,
on TV?
because I don't want to go to live games anymore, I'm happy to watch them at home.
And why is that?
Well,
Why don't you want to go to a live game?
because I don't want the disappointment of being at the grounds.
Right.
And I just don't.
That's because you can walk in here, slam the doors, throw the plates on the floor.
Plus, he's got one of them dodgy fire sticks, so...
Can't put that on.
I do that with the front
really.
As it happens, I don't.
He doesn't.
He
He
doesn't.
doesn't.
I don't.
And I have. But,
So as we come to the end of the first half, and just in a little bit of extra time, I'd like to talk about another aspect of the game which I really enjoyed in the last couple of years, and that's the WSL, the women's side of the game. Why is that? Why is that a groan?
No.
Don't know what you're groaning.
No, are you arguing with the fact that I've said that I've really enjoyed it?
No. I'm not.
So what you own?
I'm not groaning. I'm moaning at the fact.
so you just talked about how money is killing off the game.
Let me explain. So when I watched Women's Euros, and I won the Euros for the first time, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. 21, 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I watch women's football now, I'm seeing the parts of the football that I don't like in men's football.
Oh, okay.
Cheers.
So I've seen women arguing. I've seen them kicking out. I've seen them diving. When women came and played football, I loved it because it was football. It was how it should be. It wasn't kidiology. It wasn't, all the shirt pulling stuff. It was honest football. And I think now it's getting that women's football is like men's football, and I hate it.
I disagree.
But what's the game? What's the game?
We see it. Bar the diving, those are the parts of the football that we like. Them square.
I don't like that, though. I don't like it.
Oh, mate.
I don't like
you remember the
diving?
dives?
I do not like... There's a difference. When I watched the 70s and 80s football, it was physical.
Yeah.
It was, the tackles were tackles, and they were brutal tackles.
Leg breaking.
But there was no cheating. The British game of football, when Liverpool played in Europe, you'd see it all the time. The Italians would kid the refs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is, when you done mention about the WSL, it's not the women's football per se. It's what I'm seeing coming into the game. And I don't like that in American football.
Okay, well, I don't know where the game's going to go.
Yeah.
But certainly over the last few years, since 21, 20, whenever it was, I don't really watch the WSL games, to be honest. I mean...
You're about England.
I'm talking about the England...
There's not much for us in that, though, right? Because we're not that fussed about watching men's Premier League anymore. So
No, I'm not. No,
why
you're
would we
right.
go- you know-
I mean, I'll watch Match of the Day, but I don't really want.
Coventry don't have a women's team at the moment because that went to Coventry United.
Oh, okay. They've folded there.
And then that ended up being incorporated into rugby, didn't it?
No, yeah, they've gone off to rugby.
Have they?
Is that because of
It'll
what?
be financial, won't it?
Yeah,
Yes, there's no way you could have.
Well, it was at a time when they went to Northampton. So
Yeah.
the
And this is
women's-
the point I'm coming. This is the point I'm saying. It's all those things that are coming in from the men's game is coming to the women's game.
So I want to point out how much of an early supporter of the women's game I was, because around about 2000 and when would it be? 2006, 2007.
yeah.
I sponsored. I have a shirt.
Yeah.
I have a shirt. I sponsored Coventry City Girls Football Club.
Hey,
And I have a Coventry City Football Club with my company logo on the front of it. That's early support.
That's worth a pound.
And my manager at work used to play for Coventry
crazy,
City
but
as well.
everything.
She
So now,
played for Coventry City and then Aston Villa.
because I know you,
My manager at work.
All right.
because I know you, was there any hidden agenda?
No.
There's no hidden agendas there. It's a women's game. No hidden agendas.
No. There was no
Come on.
hidden.
Okay, let's move up. But okay, so I mean, all right. So you've come up with a pretty negative aspect. Of
It's not.
What I like.
It's just
But you're happy to watch the men do it, but not the
I'm
women.
not happy watching men. That's what I'm saying. It annoys me. Sorry, Ash.
What I like about it is that I think the quality is great. I have to say that I was a little bit surprised before I watched any of those early England games. I was a bit surprised at the quality of what I was watching. Right, it's not the men's game. Don't compare it with the men's game.
No, I'm in agreement with you.
Keep it completely separate from the men's game.
Yes.
And what I really like about it is that the what it's brought to football in terms of much wider demographic.
Yes.
Right, in terms of the families and the and the enjoyment that people get out of watching the game, I think it's great. I
And
think
the quality will get better and better anyway, because you know this is a point where it's only just become mainstream. You think 2-3 generations time, you'll have young girls who are actually so addicted to playing it and have got the funding behind them to do it. That they'll be playing
exactly.
You know, who knows? I mean, you know, there's no question about physicality, but who knows what kind of football you'll get out of it in terms of like, you might get some of the most skilled players in the world because, you know, if you look at Messi, he was so not set up for football that people used to tell him that he'd never do anything. And yet he's the best player in the world. But it's not because he's physical. It's because of what he can do with the ball. Who's to say that you won't get a
Well,
also
how much Barcelona's paid and invested in it. So when you read about what they did for his physicality, they spent hundreds of thousands of euros taking him to dietitians, getting his muscles measured, putting the right substance in because they could see
the potential.
Yeah. And I think you will see that with women.
But the other big benefit is the role models that these women in the game have created for thousands and thousands of young girls that aspire to that, and that wasn't there.
And they have better
10 years
personality
ago.
around them than the men do.
Let's
Women, you can. I don't know. You can kind of what's the word when you have a bit of a link with someone, you can kind of
affinity to.
Yeah, you can, because they all seem to be like. It's not like interviewing Michael Owen and getting just 3-4 words out of him and him not being able to make a cup of tea and all of that.
Yes.
So
I think you're right to a point. I think let's wait and see what money does to the game.
I just
because you look at some of the characters in the men game, they're just toxic, and you know there will come money into the sport, and let's see what happens to it.
But that's a great development. I'm really enjoying that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So that's good.
The one thing I was going to say about men's football is, what does it mean for masculinity? Because it used to be the epitome of masculinity, right? And this isn't me saying this is good or bad, right? Because I think it's a mixture of both, right? Now, if you go to a game and say something that is offensive, you're at risk of being arrested.
That's society in general, isn't it?
Well, yes, yeah. But back in the day, if there was a guy in a pink shirt on the other side of the team, there would be chants at them. if there were women in the crowd, there'd be chants at them. I'm not saying good or bad. This is, all that stuff. We do need to be more inclusive nowadays. And I think that stuff had to go at some point. So you've got that leaving. So you've got working class lads who it's part of their vernacular to talk about that kind of stuff, women and, and not, all that kind of stuff, and them not being allowed to do it anymore. The prices have got to the point where working class lads are finding it hard to pay for this kind of stuff now. And the other aspect of it, which is what I thought was one of the weirdest things that Cameron did in his time, was to ban drinking alcohol at your seat, right? That was part of the enjoyment of the football game, was being able to have a pint. I went to see Hertha Berlin versus Bayern Munich in Berlin, and you could have a Stein with you, and they had a little hook on it. You could hook it onto the back thing, so when you're cheering, it's there hooked in. And I think that was terrible. It was David Cameron's attack on working class people to be like, these guys are considered antisocial scum of the country. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restrict them as much as possible. I'm going to ban alcohol in the stands, and I just think that was an awful idea.
And you know what? I think it's also had the opposite effect of what it was meant to achieve, because now people are just getting absolutely steaming before they go,
and during half time.
So rather than sitting there with one beer during the game to get through,
and also,
they're drinking 3 or 4 pints.
Whose business is it of the government to decide what goes on in a football ground as well? Like, what right does he have to tell people what they can and can't drink when they're sat at the stands, right? If you've got a problem with alcoholism, or if you've got a problem with people drinking too much, then maybe there's a wider societal problem. So stop banning it stop banning people being. By the way, if you can't drink it there, you'll go down and drink it there. So it makes no difference anyway. Yeah. It's just it's this kind of thing about washing football of working class people.
The alcohol with football, I fully understand it and I fully agree to it. If you can't behave, we'll take it off you. That's what a parent does to a child. If there's drinking going on in rugby, with 100,000 people at Twickenham, never any trouble. And you've got England playing Ireland, England playing Scotland, right? Yeah. The rivalry is massive, right? But you'll have English sitting next to Irish.
Yeah, but this is the culture of that particular game, isn't it?
No, but it is the culture.
Where it came from, where it's developed and stuff. Whether you call it middle class or not, whatever. But there is a basis in that game that's different from the masses of people.
And it's not, and the fighting and the irresponsible behavior based on alcohol is not the issue. The issue is that maybe, without sounding demeaning to a certain extent, working class people maybe don't get brought up with the same privileges as the rest of society, right? So rugby players, tend to be middle class, and like me, also middle class, probably have sensibilities, so that when you drink,
so do you class yourself as middle class?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So I don't class myself as middle class. I was brought up by a dad that worked in a car factory, lost his mum at 12 years of age, didn't know his dad, never had anything, no money. He's had to work, do car shift, then go into the hot dog van.
Well, I would assume now. So your culture is that you've got a working class culture.
Yeah, so that's ours. So that's ours.
No. You're working class. You're working class. I'm working class. Kieran is not working class.
And that's my point.
That is.
So you were
that, and this is what I'm saying about football. We'll talk. So this podcast is all about football and what it brings to you. Yeah.
That connection.
Football is working class. It was created for working class men, and that's who the supporters are, and that's what the foundation is. Yeah, I'm saying I'm working class. What I've been fortunate is to get to middle class. Okay,
there's a difference between
that's your economic situation.
Yeah, financial class and
absolutely,
that is
absolutely. And my children, I brought them up to appreciate how fortunate they are in what they've got.
And I think your children are middle class.
And my children are middle class.
Yes. Yeah.
Getting back to what we're saying about football.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is what this podcast is about this morning. It's about football and what it means to you.
Yeah.
It's not just the working class that's being affected. It's the middle class.
Yeah.
Okay, because Andy, you just said, I'm middle class now. Yeah.
No, financially you are.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, but I would now quantify going to a football match and spending the type of money that they're expecting the working class guys to go and do it. Now, the working class guys will find a way of doing it because they're passionate about it. The middle class will go there because it's the thing to be seen to do.
I think the working class will go there because the working class have a different view of money, though.
Well,
I think working class spend their money far more
It's true. Probably
frivolously than
yeah, I agree.
I will spend my money on things that you wouldn't dream of spending your money on. We drove over to Leamington, me and Ash, last Saturday, and I
You
was
can't
wearing.
catch that, by the way.
Well, no, I wasn't. No,
No.
I was wearing Ralph Lauren,
Yeah.
right? And what was the name of the perfume that you were?
Gentlemen.
He was looking how much
Yes.
he would spend on that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, it's like 80 quid
It's about
For
the
a-
going rate, isn't it?
for a bottle of it."
Nothing now.
And I'm
got
like-
the Creed fragrances in mind. They were about
200 quid.
yeah.
Well, this is the thing, because I was just like, I don't have very much money, but I would think nothing of that.
And what did I say
You were, what about buying it?
about the cost of it? Yeah.
Well, you were justifying how many times
I
you
said
would
I
use
can't
it.
bring myself to spend 80
You
quid.
can't
on
think you'll spend-
That's his ethnic background, though.
See,
Because
the interesting thing on that,
Gujaratis are famously known to be frivolous with them.
the interesting thing on that is education, right?
Mm,
And come back to your analogy of Creed, right? Creed changed the men's aftershave industry. So when I went to
It's really nice.
what's the big department? Is it John Lewis?
Yeah.
Right, in Leicester. And I heard this is probably 4 or 5 years ago, this Creed. At the time, I think it was 120 quid, 130 quid. I went, no, I'm paying that. Spoke to the woman and she said, what do you wear? And I said, oh, I can't remember the name of it now. Izumiyaki, right? I wear Izumiyaki, right? Always wore it. It cost me, I don't know, 50 quid, 60 quid. Even that's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And she says, this is twice. I said, I know. And she goes, this will last 3 times as long.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean? And she says, they've developed a way that it stays longer on your skin,
Yeah.
whereas what you wear, you have to apply it 2 or 3 times a day. So this bottle will should last you 3 times as much as that. So 3 bottles, 180, this is 120.
and it baffles me, right?
And I was like, what?
Yeah,
I didn't buy one.
but this is where my mind. You still didn't buy it?
No.
The amount of money that this man earns, right? And that's an important factor to him. I'm not judging you for that. If I had your kind of money, I wouldn't even be contemplating some of the things that you're thinking. What was the conversation you had? You're moaning about your washing machine being broken.
Get a new one.
Buy a new washing machine.
I did.
So don't complain about it.
I'm not complaining.
The most privileged argument that I have ever heard.
But maybe it's in part of your generation as well, right? 'Cause, I think maybe
It is
It's
down to
and it's the same as us because we.
want things
I mean,
like
we earn money, but like when I started coming into sales, and I lived for many years on my basic salary.
Yeah.
We
had a conversation this
So,
week.
listen,
I'm not
guys.
going to go into it.
Guys, the
podcast.
officials on the line have put up the board, and there's a minute left.
Right, okay.
I need to talk to Lewis.
A minute extra time.
Minute
So I
extra
want to wind this up now.
Okay.
And
You have to get off your seat.
Timing there is a trick.
Get off the bench. Is there room for substitution? There's 60 seconds to go.
So there's 60 seconds to go of extra time, but I enjoyed that. It was a good conversation. I think hopefully it comes out all right, and hopefully people will see it for what it is rather than just a few guys talking about football, which happens a lot anyway.
Yeah.
But we did try and make it a little bit more related to our own kind of experiences and feelings about it. So I'll blow the whistle.
Okay.
And the teams are now
I'm
going
really
off
looking
the
forward to
table.
what music you're going to insert into this.